So Node.js has released version 23.2.0, which in itself is not like a huge change or anything, but one notable change which is there is that they have moved TypeScript support to active development. Now, for those of you who don't know, Node actually supports TypeScript type stripping. So you see this flag node experimental strip types has been released for almost 3 months. So in this video, let's try to understand what this whole thing about is with TypeScript types and why Node.js, Bun, Deno, all of them are trying to support TypeScript so bad. So if we take a look at something like TypeScript, in order to run TypeScript code base, you can't just run it directly, right? You have to remove types from it. So for example, if you have a code const a string hello, and if you have console.log a as a string, this code is non-executable. You can't execute this code. Any sort of runtime or anything, whether that's Bun, whether that's Node, whether that's Deno, whether that's some sort of embedded versions of, V8 or something, all of them, none of them can actually run this, whether that's browser, like anything. Right? Any JavaScript runtime cannot run it. However, what you can do is two things. First of all, you can run it through something known as TypeScript compiler, right? Which is also something known as TSC, something like TSC no emit, right? So what this does is that if you run it through TSC no emit, that it will check the validity. It will check if your TypeScript code is actually valid or not. For example, if you wrote something like a number and then hello, this would fail if you are running TSC in strict mode, right? So because you are mismatching, right? A hello over here is not a number. So this, once you have verified that your code logic is good, what you can do as a second step, which TSC also does, like if you add no emit, it will not do it, but TSC is able to convert your TypeScript to JavaScript. And this effectively means nothing more than just stripping out types. So what you will do is that if you have the sentence, something like this, what it's going to do is it's going to convert these types into const a equal to hello. It's basically, it has removed the type information. Now you have pure JavaScript, and now you can run it through any sort of engine, whatever you want, right? So you can run it through Node. This could be Node. This could be Deno. This could be Bun. This could be anything, right? Once you have all these types removed, you can run it. Now the biggest problem here is that this step over here, it's extremely expensive. It's extremely time consuming and it's extremely slow, right? So you will spend so much time over here that it would be basically worthless for you to just run it then with JavaScript later, right? So you cannot just recompile everything on every single change because TSC, TypeScript compiler, is extremely slow. So what we do instead is that a lot of runtimes like Bun, for example, they just emit this step directly. Like they just omit, not emit. They just omit this step directly and they just directly execute it by stripping the types, right? So Bun, for example, when Bun says that, hey, we support TypeScript out of the box, it doesn't support TypeScript out of the box. It supports type stripping out of the box, right? When Deno says the same, we support TypeScript out of the box. It doesn't support TypeScript, it supports type stripping. Because if you really support TypeScript, then you have to run TypeScript compiler, TSC, on your code base before you actually run it. And that makes it extremely slow for big applications. So similarly, this Node TypeScript support is clear from the flag name if you read experimental strip types. So even if it ships at some point in Node, all Node is saying that, hey, we are taking your code base in TypeScript and we are just stripping the types and running it directly. Let me show you what this means. So first things first, let me just check what my version of Node is, and it's obviously 18. So we need Node 23.2.0. So let me just install this real quick. Now, once I have Node 23 with me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start writing some code, right? And if I run this code, this works obviously as expected. Now, let me go ahead and change this from index.js to index.ts. Now, obviously, because this file name is sort of like useless, Node would still be able to run this because like it's not really TypeScript, right? You can just name, just a fun thing if you don't know about this, you can just not name it at all, index.txt also if you want, and you can still run it because Node will consider this as a JavaScript program. Doesn't matter what extension you specify. But anyway, let's just go back to TS and let's just try to add some types here because this is TypeScript, right? So if I add number, for example, and if I try to run node index.ts, it's not gonna work because it is not valid JavaScript syntax. But what we can do is use this flag over here, which we have experimental strip types. So if I do node experimental strip types index.ts, TypeScript.ts. Over here, you can see now this works completely fine. We do get a warning. TypeScript ring is experimental feature and might change at any time. So it's like, it's giving you a warning, but more or less it works, right? However, let me just show you that if I change this to string and if I now run this also works. This is what I'm talking about. When I say that they just omit this type checking step directly, it just jumps directly over here. This error, this wiggly error which you see in my console is coming directly from the TypeScript server itself, which has to be using TypeScript compiler at some point, right? It has to be running TSC on this file. And it's able to like get the information like what's going wrong. For example, now if I run TSC over here and hit enter, well, TSC doesn't just work like that. So TSC index.ts, hit enter. You can see that now I rarely get the error. So if by any chance, if I run node with this and get this error, then you will know that, hey, okay, node is invoking TSC, right? TSC, you might seem like, oh, Mehul, but it's so fast. Like, I don't see what's the problem. Well, this is very, very slow. You might not see it because it's a very small program. But if you run TypeScript compiler on a huge code base, a huge monorepo, it could take probably minutes, if not, I won't say hours, but it'll 100% take a lot of minutes. For example, at Fermion and Codedam, we have huge mono repos for front end and back end both. Like both repos are 100% in TypeScript, huge mono repos. And when we run our linter step with TSC, which is like actual validating if the types are right or not, it takes like, we don't run it on a single machine. We split the workload on multiple machines in the CI. But for every single machine also, like we are running 4 or 5 packages and it takes like 3 to 4 minutes, right? And if you run it on a single machine with a lot of cores also, if you do a lot of parallelization also, it'll still take like 10 to 15 minutes complete to just check everything is in place. We don't have that much of time to deploy, right? So what people end up usually doing is that they use tools like ESBuild, right? So ESBuild is also one of the tools which you can use to strip out types, right? So if you run ESBuild on this file, index.ts over here, I don't know if it will work or not. It did work, right? So ESBuild, what it did is that you can see that it created a stripped down version of your TypeScript file, right? Now you can just simply run index.js directly, right? So ESBuild is basically doing the same thing, which Node is doing in a way with experimental strip types before running it, right? So Node internally avoids you to call this step, right? And if you want to check out another package which is extremely cool, we use this very much in our own code bases, is this package known as TSX, which is the same thing which I just showed you. So it will run ESBuild on your whole code base and then it'll run Node. I mean, like it does more than that, but for the sake of simplicity, I'm just telling you like how this works. This is like an extremely cool project. You should use it if you are using TypeScript. Check it out, maybe star this. Like I really mean it because we use this project a lot. Oh, I have also not started this, but yeah, very cool project. We use this a lot. And similarly, this similar story exists with other runtimes also. If you look at Bun, for example, Bun will also not give you any errors or any indication that something is wrong. Similarly with Deno also, I don't have Deno for some reason. Let me just go ahead and install Deno right now because I'm never able to show Deno. Alright, so I have Deno now in my CLI. So I hope like nobody accuses me that I hate Deno. I don't hate Deno. I just don't like some of the things they do. So now if I run with Deno also, you can see all of them just don't, care a lot. Node creates a warning because it's an experimental, but Bun and Deno are able to also run. But TSX is also would be able to run. Let me just show you index.ts. You can see TSX is also able to run. TSC, however, is the real guy, right? It's the real deal because it will not run unless you fix this. So if the moment I fix this, for example, number over here, and now if I run this, you will see that I don't get any output because TSC by default produces a thing like this. Oh, this might be TSC. I don't know if this is TSC or if this was ESBuild. Let's just see. So if I run ESBuild now on this, okay, so ESBuild does not create that file. The TSC file, the TSC command created that. So ESBuild just gives you output on the CLI. So you can see like ESBuild just removed the types and that's all. It did not do anything else. It also removed a white space, by the way, but that's basically it. Right. So anyway, that's all for this video. Hopefully you learned something new. If you did, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you in the next video really soon.